talk about the importance of the curing light in the correct position when we're curing our composite resin when a filling is being placed. So today in our school at Cornerstone Dental Assistant Academy, we use this great light by 8 Teeth. It's nice, it's lightweight. I like a straight neck curing light myself is an EFTA. That way when I'm on the occlusal surface that I'm able to come in flat, not as a curved curing light. Personally, just not a fan. We all have our own preference of brands and things that we like. But one thing that we do want to make sure that when we are curing our composite resin, we do not want to get composite resin stuck to the end of the shield here. Of course, when we need to, in a sense, scrape that off, then you're scratching the lens and then you're lowering the risk, or you're decreasing the value of how much light that's going to penetrate into your composite resin. You want a good curing light. I know some curing lights we can buy off of eBay, Amazon, and they're $30, $40. You might want to test those curing lights to make sure that the quality of the light that's being penetrated is actually curing your composite resin to the depth that is going to be a good quality cure. We don't want, in a sense, quote unquote, soggy bottom to where we are curing an MOD and the bottom of that MOD prep is not getting cured fully. So let's talk about this. I have my Tibet on here. And let's just say where this green mark is on number 30, that this is an occlusal. So we really want to make sure, of course, when we turn on our light, that I turn on the light typically when it's in the patient's mouth. And I'm going to hover slightly, maybe above that occlusal, to tack the occlusion, the top of that composite resin, so I don't get any on my lens. And then I'm going to come pretty darn close. Actually, the book answer is about 1 to 2 millimeters from the surface of the tooth. So we're not hovering above. I'm not leaning like this on that occlusal. That light penetration then from my curing light is not properly over top of my occlusal. Another thing, that if I'm doing an MOD, so if I have an MOD prepped on number 30, then I'm also going to make sure my curing light goes over the mesial section of the tooth, and it's going to go over the distal section of the tooth. If I'm doing an MOD and it's really deep, then when I remove my Toffelmeyer, I potentially sometimes will come in and come from the buccal or the lingual side to where my metal um, Toffelmeyer was placed, to make sure that I'm really getting a good cure. Of course, our curing light needs to be on if it's a little bit deeper of a filling, if your doctor, if you're an EFTA, is not layering that product. And if we're using a darker resin composite, if we are using a B1, we're going to need less curing time. But if we're using a D4 or an A4, you might need a little bit longer of a curing time. So make sure that your curing setting time is where you find appropriate on your curing light. This is a 3-second light. Watch, of course, some of our curing lights really create a lot of heat. So that crucial placement of that curing light is very important. This is way too far above that occlusal surface. We don't want to be leaning. We don't want to be over to the side. As you can see, I'm really not on the curing light because maybe I'm looking away. So when I look away and my body turns, that my curing light turns with it. So that curing light placement is very, very important. So right on to the prep, no matter where we are. If we're on a facial of number 8, then we want to be on that facial surface of number 8. We do not want to be just hovering over, an eighth of an inch. It's too far away and it's not curing the composite correctly. So make sure that your composite light is directly on to the prep of, or the placement of where that composite needs to be cured. We want to make sure that we get a good quality filling and it's cured fully.